So thank you, Jeff, for coming in to chat with us today about Like as the Hart, which we're performing in our upcoming concert. So we have a couple questions for you. So maybe a natural place to start is, could you maybe tell us about the genesis of the piece or the origin or inspiration for creating this work?
I wrote this in memory of my grandfather, who was a choir director for at least 50 years, probably longer. I wrote this about a year after he died. I think it might have even been on the anniversary. I was born on a Thursday night at 7:30, so my destiny was preordained for me to be a church choir type person. This is very influenced by the Herbert Howells one, which I'm sure you could pick some of that out, but it's also, I think it's sort of Herbert Howells, Vaughan Williams, Duraflay, with a little bit of Palestrina and Victoria hiding in the background,
right?
Hopefully.
Thanks. And the text is famous, as we sort of just touched on. So we're pairing it with the Palestrina in our concert. So what elements do you think carry over from that Palestrina into this arrangement?
I think the long flowing lines, Palestrina just weaves them all together. I've sort of got the organ kind of setting the mood and then having the lines come out of the accompaniment, at least at the beginning. I love the piece. I learned that piece in high school, and I remember, this is another good tale from my past, I remember going with a bunch of guys probably about 20 people to spring break in Florida. So what do? Everybody else is at the beach. We went into Orlando and went into St. Luke's Cathedral, and we saw a couple copies of this sitting around. Like, well, hey, we're doing this in our spring concert. So we started singing this, and the secretary came in because they were expecting this choir to be there later that afternoon, and she thought we were the choir, and we were singing the Palestrina. So that was kind of nice. We're in our flip-flops and bathing suits, and singing some Palestrina. I think, like a lot of composers, I find there's music hidden in the text, and it's a matter of finding it. And I think I could probably set this text again and find different music, I hope. The organ sort of has this ostinato thing happening, and it's kind of dark and swirly, and then the men come in with their song, and it's sort of modal, sort of not. It's this whole sense of longing. And I guess that's sort of what the first part should be, too. A little bit of longing and emotion.
And how would you describe that sound you're after with the men?
Fairly straight tone,
okay.
And not like 50 men, not a men's chorus sound necessarily, unless it's very, very unified.
So a little more streamlined.
Yeah, I mean it's mezzo piano, so it's it sort of rises and falls. No big changes in it.
So following the natural shape of the line.
Yes.
Perfect. So we're intrigued with this one. So we're a cappella here at measure 18. Beautiful phrase leading up top of the page. We have our first arrival at "Where is now thy God?" And then we repeat the text, but a mezzo forte, a little softer. What was your compositional idea for that?
This seems to be sort of a bit of a darker part of the text, more grim and stark. So I'm kind of doing parallel fifths. I did fail theory, but I do know that I did pass it eventually, and I know that parallel fifths are a no-no until you pass theory, and then you can use them because I think they're very, very atmospheric and certainly set a starkness to that text. Yeah, I think the building up to "Where is now thy God," it's certainly, the emotions are running high. That's the loudest part of the piece when it gets to the forte, and there's no organ to support it underneath. The whole text is about longing. My soul longs for thee, O God. And now this is "Where is now thy God?" And this is a little bit more, I think, almost anguish at this point. And then "Where is now thy God?" It's sort of the post-anguish coming down a little bit more, and kind of chords that they don't ever quite resolve, and they sort of move to "Where is now thy God?" And it's kind of this unspoken, well, I guess it is spoken, question as to what's happening, and then the organ comes back in to go back to the beginning text again, "Like as the heart desire the water brooks."
Right, and that gives us a little sense of a resolution.
Yeah, I mean the soprano is getting a little bit more sort of lightening the mood a little bit, and then the organ comes in with those little rays of sunshine at the end, and then we sort of shift into a totally different start from the middle.
Right, and we have these beautiful harmonies. I love the accompaniment here with all the
Well, hopefully this is like the sunshine poking through the clouds there.
Absolutely. And the beautiful layering at the end.
And then at the top of 4 there, So Long With My Soul After Thee, that's kind of imitating the beginning again,
Okay.
but in a different key and with a totally different flavor, I hope. Definitely a rich sound, hopefully not big, wide vibrato, not opera choruses, but it doesn't have to be kind of laser voice soprano either. Somewhere in between, just a very warm sound.
So as an experienced choral singer yourself, where do you think the challenges are in this piece?
The unison lines and breathing, probably.
Okay.
And also the fifths, just getting them right in tune,
Right.
especially when they're sort of, the men are moving parallel and the women are moving parallel, but not the same way. They're kind of going this way, and so I'll still lose marks for parallel fifths, but they're not all going the same way.
It's a beautiful effect, so we're not deducting any marks.
Well, I figure if it's good enough for Vaughan Williams, then it's good enough.